Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And on today's episode, we have quite the doozy. We talk about how artifacts are stolen and often repatriated. But this is one where a woman bought a ceramic vase in a Maryland thrift store that was returned to Mexico and resides in Mexico's main museum. What a wild story.
Yep. So the story begins with this woman going into a Maryland thrift store where she sees a piece of old pottery that's intact and it's for sale for $4. She likes it, she buys it, and it turns out to be between 1200 and 1800 years old. It's just yeah. So it's an ancient cultural artifact of the Mayan people that was just in a thrift store for $4 because no one knew what it was, and the best the thrift store owner had was old pot.
And Anne Lee Dozier believed that the vase was old. She had thought it was roughly 300 or so years old, but in reality, it turned out to be 12 to 1800 years old. And
Yeah.
the whole reason she even perceived it to be old was because she had worked with indigenous communities in Mexico and kind of understood that it might have some ties to it. And she thought it'd be something nice to take home and put on the shelf. And then when she traveled to Mexico City in January on a work trip, she visited the National Anthropology Museum and saw other Mayan vases on display that bore a striking resemblance to the one she had at home. Although she wasn't convinced that she had an authentic vase at home, she reported her thrift store find to a museum official who in turn recommended that she contact the Mexican embassy. And after she sent pictures of the vase with a description of its dimensions, the National Anthropology Museum replied that she indeed had an authentic relic, one that Mexico wanted back.
Yeah. I love the quote from her in this where she says, I got an email saying, congratulations, it's real. We would like it back. It's just, just straight up, just straight to the point of just, yes, it's real. Return it now.
And it said that the vase had dated back between 200 AD and 800, which is generally considered the height of the Mayan civilization, which obviously fell after the Europeans. But exactly how it ended up at the Maryland thrift store is not entirely clear. But Mexico's Cultural Institute in D.C. was had a ceremony that marked the recovery of the vase. And Dozier also said that she made a point to say that she's happy it go back to the rightful place. And that she was thrilled to get rid of it because she was worried her three young boys would damage it. I mean, when you realize you have a 1,200-year-old
Yeah.
artifact in front of you,
Yeah.
you get kind of worried that your boys might just
Yeah.
knock it off the shelf.
Yeah.
If it's a
Yeah.
$4 ripoff, who cares?
Yeah, yeah. A $4 imitation, put on the mantle, look at, go, oh yes, I made many trips to Mexico. That was nice. You know, it falls off, no real harm done. You know, 1800-year-old relic from the height of a great civilization. I'm just gonna barricade this where no one can ever get to it.
I just love that she put such a strong, poignant point on top of it. And she says, I am thrilled to have played a part in its repatriation story. Giving it back feels so much better than it would if I put it up for sale online and got a bunch of money. It's really important to recognize that some of these things, especially with such historical and cultural value to an entire country and people, you can't really put a number on that. This woman,
Yeah.
vote her into. I don't know what other
Yeah.
views she has, but on that alone, vote for her. Like, that is. That we need more opinions like that because that is honestly where the future needs to be.
Yeah.
And
And
what a find of a lifetime. How would you feel if you're just browsing through the old Goodwill and you come across a Mayan pot just sitting on the shelf for $4?
yeah, I'd be shocked. I would definitely be taking it for the $4. My only repatriation condition is that wherever like museum or archive it ends up in has to let me visit that one object specifically for free. Like that's my one thing is that if I make it to your institute, you have to let me see it. That's the one thing. I get to visit it, okay?
You
That is
want
my son.
visitation rights of your
That is my
artifact.
son and I get to see him. It is my baby because I must protect it at all costs between the moment I get a hold of it and the moment I give it back to you.
It does pose an interesting question as to how it got there, although I feel like while it may not be the most sinister, it's not probably the best either. My personal assumption is that someone probably bought it while on vacation in Cancun, and then when they died or did some spring cleaning, they're just like, oh, give it to Goodwill, no problem.
Yeah, it definitely has the feel of Grandpa died. What are we doing with his garage?
Yeah.
Sort of thing of just like because it's a thrift store and it's like, oh, this vase seems kind of nice. I bet we could get a few bucks for it if we took it to a thrift store, and that's how it ends up on the shelf as old pottery.
Especially the fact that the thrift store didn't know what it was. If they
Yeah,
had
yeah.
any inkling of an idea as to what it was, one, I guarantee it'd be more than $4, and two, they may not even sell it because a lot of times you can't sell antiquities without any sort of context, any sort of provenance.
Yeah, yeah, and like I'm just doing a little side thing here because fun fact, uh, replicas of this like actual replicas go for about $100 of this type of vase.
Jeez,
Uh,
so even the thrift shop dropped the bag on that one.
yeah. Well, I think like the more of like the authentic replicas. I think the real ones go for
Oh,
we're going
thousands,
for
hundreds of thousands. Well,
yeah
probably not
we're going
hundreds,
we're
but
going for we're going for several hundred at least. But it's just like the like authenticated replicas of like this is a one for one of a existing vase from this time is like $100
yeah.
unless I read things wrong because I was googling right there of just like what do these go for anyway? Like it's like, oh yeah, no.
But quite an interesting story, and I think a really positive outcome. And honestly, I think she took the correct route. Like, that is a story and a half to be able to say that you found this pot, you had this story. And honestly, to have that connection, because if she's been to the museum once, you know for a fact she's going to go again and she's going to visit and make a point of going there again just to see it on display, should it be put on display, which I think it will. Given you don't usually get institutions that go, we want that.
Yeah.
You don't really get that because a lot of times institutions are like, we'd love to take that on, we just don't have the space or the money.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good point for us to wrap up today. We love talking repatriation, and this is one of the biggest wins. We've talked about how many thefts lately, how many fence stolen goods. This is a positive story. And
Yeah.
Anne Lee Dozier, you are a hero, and we applaud you. Thank you
Yeah.
guys for watching.
Yeah, definitely act of pure chance, and for once it worked out in history's favor.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.